This episode of the ABIC podcast is brought to you by Shortcuts Australia. Hello and welcome to the ABIC podcast, your online support community for the aesthetic and beauty industry. Here, we're strengthening and unifying the industry through representation, innovation, and education. This is a platform created and dedicated to the aesthetic and beauty industry, valuing unity and advancement. We serve to represent, support, and inspire you by connecting you with industry experts, expanding your knowledge through educational pieces, and bringing you the latest industry news. This is the ABIC podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Miller, and welcome to the ABIC podcast. In the beauty and aesthetic industry, we're told to focus on client experience. Meanwhile, the world's top brands are focusing on client psychology. In this elevated and thought-provoking episode, I sit down with Emma Winan and Chloe Wilson from Shortcuts to explore a radical shift. What if your software isn't just a tool? It's part of your brand. In an era where luxury is redefined by ease, intelligence, and emotional resonance, the most successful clinics aren't run like clinics at all. They're run like consumer brands. In this episode, you'll uncover how behavioural science, neuro-marketing, and intuitive technology are reshaping the client journey, and how your tech stack is silently influencing trust, prestige, loyalty, and even perceived clinical outcomes. Expect insights, science-backed strategy, and disruptive thinking that will leave you questioning everything from your online booking system to your post-treatment follow-up. If you're ready to shift from being a service provider to becoming an unforgettable brand, this episode is for you. Welcome, ladies. How are you today, Chloe and Emma?
Great.
Hi.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having us.
I'm super excited because we've got a three-way conversation going, and with the most fun girls ever. We always start our podcast in the same way. Please, Chloe and Emma, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be in the beauty and aesthetic industry. Chloe, did you want to start off?
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us, Stephanie. I'm Chloe. I'm the head of product marketing here at Shortcuts. I've been in the hair and beauty industry for only just over a year and a half, but I've been marketing for almost 15 years, and I've been in many different industries, some fun, not so fun, including things like accounting, pest control, fashion, but I'm so excited to be here working for Shortcuts and working in the hair and beauty industry, and I truly feel like I've found my stride and my niche here, I'm very, very excited to be talking to you all today.
No, I feel like everyone, when they come into the aesthetic industry, they say, oh, this is the place I want to stay. I have found my home. Isn't that right, Emma?
I think that she'd have to agree that we are the most fun that she's ever had. So
It's true. It's true.
maybe pest control, I don't know.
Oh, that was a hard one to beat.
What about you, Emma? Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yes, so I feel like I've actually grown up at Shortcuts. So I originally come from the hairdressing industry, or hair and beauty, and found my place there, fell in love with the industry and most importantly, the clients. And unfortunately had a bit of a rocky start to that journey because I was allergic to a lot of the products. But was very, very lucky that my beautiful boss nurtured me and taught me the business side of the industry, a little bit of the education side. And then when I moved to Queensland, I started working at Shortcuts at age 23. So I'm going to show my age here. I have been at Shortcuts for 20 years, which is crazy. And that's why I feel like I've actually literally grown up at Shortcuts. So I have been so lucky to see the industry evolve over that lifetime, and we get to see, I guess, with my passion for education and the business side of things, but most importantly the end client, I've been able to watch that journey for them grow from a software perspective, because we get to see that from start to finish. I was in education for most of those years, and more recently I've stepped into the client success manager at Shortcuts, and loving that because I get to work even closer with our beautiful clients.
Oh my goodness, it says so much about a company when you're there their team is there for 20 years. That's really all you need to know. That's the biggest advertising, I suppose, for it.
I'm one of many that have been here for
That's right.
15 plus years, I guess. If you look at all of us at Shortcuts, it's amazing. So I'm not alone. I'm not unique.
Honestly, every time I have meetings with you and your team, they're the most fun meetings. They're the most engaging. You love your clients. Can I just tell you, you are obsessed with your clients, with the stockers and people that are listening right now, truly, genuinely. The conversation's always about you, about how we can make things better for you, about how they can deliver a better service, and how to make you more profitable and focus on the things that you love to do. And they're really genuine conversations, and I'm so happy that you're members of ABIC, so supplier members. We just think the world of you. And today is like an incredible podcast episode because we're kind of going inside the box, but outside the box as well in terms of what we're talking about. We're talking about tech, but we're talking about your experience and how to really help your business. So obviously, Shortcuts, you are more than a software company. People think you're a software company, but there's just so much more to your experience than just that. Let's kick it off by, I suppose, the first question I really want to ask you is, what part of a clinic's like back end system is it that a client, so the person that comes, the patient comes to see your client, which is the stockist, what do they never see but they always feel it?
Yeah, it's all the invisible stuff, isn't it? It's the
Yeah.
stuff that we take for granted, or not at Shortcuts, but as the salons, clinics, day spas, you take it for granted. But it's the little things like the reminders, so your appointment reminders. It's the tone that speaks in to how the client's going to feel when they come to the door and have that experience. And then it's something that seems so basic, but it's giving the therapists, the technicians, all of the key information at their fingertips so that they can focus on giving the client the best experience possible without having to do all the mundane admin, right? So it's automations, but also having a tablet in the palm of their hands to be able to greet the client with all of the information that they know about them because they've put that in at the last visit, but the client doesn't know about all that, right? So really using that tech to enhance that experience for the client when they arrive. They're not thinking that's come from technology, but technology is completely behind it.
It's that
Oh, yeah.
seamless feeling of, I would say, that, that welcoming feeling, the feeling of knowing, oh, I know this person knows me intimately.
Yeah.
They're expecting me, they're waiting for me, they're anticipating. And that seamless feeling all comes from software.
Yeah, that's right. But they don't realize it, but they're definitely going to feel it. Yeah.
So today, like, what do you think defines the luxury experience? Is it the treatment alone, or is it everything that they experience from the time they walk into the clinic and including the software behind it?
Yeah. Look, who can define a luxurious experience, right? It's to the eye of the beholder. What somebody else perceives as a luxurious experience is completely different to what the next person may. But what technology can do for you is automate those mundane activities so that you as an individual therapist, technician, can focus on what you do best, which is providing that beautiful, luxurious experience without getting distracted by other things. So we need to use technology as much as we can to free you up to offer that personalized service and create that beautiful, luxurious experience.
Tech issues, they interrupt your flow and they interrupt that feeling of
Yes, we don't
elegance.
want that.
Well, we had then this morning, obviously, before we started our podcast, we're like, oh goodness, this software going to work? Zoom. And it can make some friction happen, and then people don't talk about it, but you as a therapist, it can stress you out too if things aren't working properly, and you don't have
Exactly.
things at your fingertips. Chloe, you were going to add to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, technology obviously helps automate the mundane, and it makes things easier if it works. But of course, it actually empowers your team to be in the right zone to give that luxurious experience. I feel like real luxury comes from fine-tuned and, highly detailed customer service and customer care. And unless your team are in the right mindset to be delivering that, which means that they're calm and they have all the right information at their fingertips, they're not going to be able to do that, and they're not going to be able to do it consistently. So it's also about, being able to be freed up to give that experience, not only just be able to get the information that you need.
I love that you use the word consistency. Let's talk about that.
Mm.
In a behavioral sense, what does inconsistency between, staff, so if a client sees one staff and then a different staff, and then has a different experience, even inconsistency in services, what does that do to a client's trust?
Yeah, look, this is a huge one, isn't it? And so many clinics forget about this step, this consistent step. So everything from the first touch point that you might have with a client, whether it be a phone call to make their appointment, if we look at the guest journey, or maybe online, this needs to be consistent with each other. So it really needs your physical brand to represent your digital brand, right? The types of words that we're using, the color, the look, the feel, what we know about the client and how we make the client feel, needs to be consistent with then when they're arriving in clinic and they're greeted. We use their name because, of course, we know it. We need to make them feel welcome. Taking them through to have their treatment again, looking at every single touch point and keeping it as consistent as possible, using tech to guide you on that as well. You're not meant to remember everything. It's really hard. You might see 10 to 20 clients a day. You're not going to remember everything. No one expects you to, but the client doesn't need to know that. The fact that like, let's use birthday as an example. It's really simple, right? I'm going to book in on my birthday. I'm a busy mum. I just want to feel great on my birthday. So I go and book into the clinic I always go to because I feel like I belong. I know that I've given them my birthday before. I filled that form out a long time ago. Been coming for 5 years. I go through to my treatment and they don't acknowledge that it's my birthday today. It suddenly breaks that consistency. It breaks that trust that I had built in the brand. So it's really important to use your tech to get that right throughout every stage. It's there to support you.
Oh, absolutely. And then it builds trust. Like if you can rely on someone, people say, oh, what is trust? Trust is consistency. It's knowing what to expect from that person, right? I can trust that that person or that thing is going to reliably give me this outcome. And your birthday is one example, but it's even just understanding who I am, what treatment I had last, how long it takes, to do, because sometimes you might walk in and you might actually need a longer treatment because you've got a specific concern. And the therapist should know that, you always need that extra 10 minutes. If they haven't booked that in or, predicted that, it's going to cause sort of stress and inconsistency in your treatment. So we use software in so many different ways, don't we?
Yeah, it's all of those things that you forget that you're doing. Like you put that information in there, pull it out and use it. For the clinics that are already doing that, that's amazing. And you've probably got an amazing clientele, great following, very loyal clients. If you're not doing those things, totally recommend investing in the time just to get that set up and onboarding your team. That's something Chloe and I were talking about the other day. Getting your team on board with your processes is key to consistency. You can be an incredible business leader and out there doing it, but all the clients are wanting to book with you because they're feeling that warmth and that sense of belonging because you're always consistent. If you don't spend the time to onboard your team with that same level of consistency, you're never going to be able to step away from being the most booked out person, and growing the business. So I think that getting the team on board with your processes and with using the tech to support them is a really key element of consistency.
Oh, I love that because when you have multiple staff in your clinic, and I know because we had, 8 to 10
Yeah.
team members, and not always does a client see the same person. And having that wonderful, like coming out of a treatment, I've just come out with Rosa, and I had the same or better experience than I had with my previous therapist. That feeling from a client, you can't beat it because then it's not just trust in the person that you're seeing, it's trust in the clinic. And for a business owner, that's invaluable because you want your clients not to be, fully attached to one person in your clinic. You want them to be attached to
Yeah.
clinic, salon, or spa as a brand, as an identity on its own.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And that will need to follow through to the marketing. We call it marketing, but to them it's client messages. The message that you're sending them once they leave as well, that needs to have that same consistent tone, branding, message so that the client feels like that wasn't just send, it wasn't an automated send. It was something specific for them. So that's really important key for that as well.
Yeah, I love it. Can you walk through what a clinic, salon, or spa, obviously, how they use shortcuts to create that feeling of intimacy, like high touch service, even for a brand new client?
Yeah, sure. So I think the key point here is obviously consistency throughout every touch point. But if I look at each of those, and I could talk about it honestly all day, so I'm going to try and do a summary. So I mentioned on it before, but whether it's online booking or they're picking up the phone, if you're picking up the phone, you're in control, right? You can use your senses to hear what the client's saying, use your beautiful voice to make them feel really connected. So that's great. We at Shortcuts spent years refining what you're doing on the phone and putting that into online booking.
Wow.
Because with a brand, you need to have your clients feel it, not just see it. So when they hit your online booking page, we want them to feel what it's like the last time they were in the clinic. And if they're a new client, we want them to feel what it's going to be like, that that's somewhere that they're going to fit in and belong. So we have spent literally years refining our online booking. So when they hit that, obviously, online booking isn't just, oh, look up. It's not just something that you tick the box. Great, we've got online booking. You need to look at every part of it. Are the colors integrated with your website so they feel like there's not a friction point there, right? They need to still belong where they started. So that's really important. And that's something that's really big to us. So they go through that online booking experience. We're collecting information about the client that they don't even realize they're giving us, because we're not just asking them out front. It's part of the booking process that they're just adding a little bit more each time. There's a welcome note at the start that gives them a little additional information about what they can expect. So we're setting the experience up and then we're providing it. There's things like online booking upsell. Now we call it upsell. To the client, it's just a product, it's a treatment recommendation. So if you're booking for a particular type of microdermabrasion, perhaps there's a beautiful booster that really complements that. So in salon, we understand that we're trying to upsell our clients because at the end of the day, the business needs to make money. But what's important to all of us, even at Shortcuts, is that the client's also feeling really looked after. So by upselling and adding on that little booster that's going to elevate that experience and make them feel amazing, we're looking after the client better. And that's a touch point that represents your brand. The client then obviously has entered a whole heap of information they didn't really realize they were doing because it was just part of the flow. So then they arrive, or before they arrive, they're going to get their reminder, their SMS reminder. You can customize this so that it fits in the tone of your brand and your business. When they arrive, you've got everything at your fingertips so that you know who's coming in, who's due to come in, who's about to walk through the door. Hello, Jane, it's so great to see you. Come on in. Did you fill out the form that we sent you yesterday or whenever it was that it was sent? Having them add that little bit of extra detail so that you can customize their service and tailor their service before they arrive is really important as well. And then obviously the therapist taking the client through, having their iPad with all of the information about that client. And you mentioned it before, Steph, not just their birthday and did they go on a holiday, which is all really important, but what were they trying to achieve at their last visit? What was the goal by having that certain facial or injectable or whatever it may be? And have you delivered on that with their return visit? How are they feeling? So it's having all that stuff right at the palm of the hand because we don't want a friction point there. We want the therapist to be able to just seamlessly see it and move on and create that beautiful, luxurious experience for the client. And then obviously, we rebook them, which the client doesn't realize, but they're being prompted to do that. We're going to add our visit notes, which in Shortcuts, it's such a simple thing, but there's a reminder tool. So for the therapists that haven't or technicians haven't added their visit notes, that's gold. We can't just highlight over that and brush past. Oh, well, I'll remember next time she comes in. There's none of that. You need to enter it. You see too many clients in a day to be able to remember every critical detail. So we remind the therapist before they end the day to go in and type those notes in, and they can do that from the iPad, or they can do that at reception, wherever they want. They've got that flexibility. Once the client's left us, we need some follow-up care, right? Like, we want to see, how did they go? How did we do? Could we improve? So using our automated marketing system to achieve that, and tailoring those campaigns to specific, what they had, or a specific group of people. There's lots of different things that you can do and make choices in shortcuts to do to get that message across to the client. So every touch point there.
Oh, I love it.
Information overload.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking, wow, that's a lot of detail.
It's a lot of detail. And I probably missed something as well.
As a therapist, we don't really need to know all of that because we're prompted. We don't have to remember any of that,
it's
right?
Just doing
the
it for
software
you.
sort of seamlessly does it for you.
Yeah. I feel like Chloe and I have said it way too many times while we've been talking to you already, and I'm going to say it one more time, automating the mundane. We use that all the time because that's what your software should be doing for you, right? Like, you shouldn't have to be doing these mundane tasks that just feel like monotonous to you. The software can do that for you. So all those things I just mentioned, there are very few steps that the therapist actually needs to be involved in that process.
Exactly. And the more that you put into your system, the more you will get out of it as well. So all of the effort that you put into all those touch points that Emma just mentioned, if you set that up and really invest in your software tools so it does it really well every time, you're just going to get so much more out of it, and so will your own clients.
No, I love that. We're talking about all these data points, and I love that. But at the same time, I feel like Shortcuts has this emotional feeling to it whenever I experience a Shortcuts appointment, or I'm going to see, because you can, because I know, because I'm in the industry anyway. I know when a person's using Shortcuts, and I just feel this, it's almost emotion driven. How do we move from personalization being all this data driven sort of feeling to being more emotionally driven? Because I feel like it resonates with the client, but the client doesn't know why exactly.
Yeah, I think it's really nailing your niche in the market, like nailing how do you want to be seen, and then working out what the tone of that is. How do you want to come across and sound, and then personalize the opportunities that you can in your software. So I think the thing that Shortcuts does a little bit different to everybody else is we spend a lot of time onboarding our clients, and that's probably why you're feeling the difference with a Shortcuts message as opposed to perhaps if they're using a different package. And all packages are great, so but just for us, it's really important to us that we work with our clients so much to make sure that their marketing, their SMS confirmation sounds the way they want it to sound, so that it's representing their brand. So perhaps that's the difference that you're feeling, and they're getting that one-on-one education with our educators who are also from the industry, so they can help them tailor that. So I guess my recommendation would be, no matter what package you're using, because there's lots of options, go back and have a look at what you're sending out, because often with a provider other than us, you'll just be actually using what was already switched on.
Right.
I started using the self-sign-up kind of software, which is fine, because you can go in and you can change that, and you can change the message so it has more of an emotional connection to your clients. If you're using Shortcuts, we can absolutely help you do that too. It might have been a little while since you're onboarding. Let us help you to go in and change those settings, because we care about how we're communicating with our clients, and we really care how they're communicating with theirs. So,
I love that. What do you think the difference is between an email or a message and then making a client feel remembered? What's that secret recipe?
Look, this is Chloe's part because she's the marketing queen, but I'll just say it has to be relevant. That's my biggest thing. Obviously, there's the obvious things, like it has to match your branding, it has to be on brand, and all those kinds of things, but it has to be time sensitive, relevant, and personalized. They're my things that I always tell our clients, like, get those three things right, and your clients will feel like you're literally speaking to them as opposed to an email blast going out. But Chloe is our head of marketing, so she's much more better
Go
at
for it,
these
Chloe.
things. Go for it, Chloe.
Oh, thank you, Emma. Look, in
Quickly.
marketing, just generally, we love to say, show me you know me, or show them you know them. And I feel like that's a really, really applicable terminology here. If you're showing your client that you know what treatments they've had, you know what experiences they're going to be having soon in your clinic, then that feels really personal, right? It feels really emotional, especially considering some of the services that they might be having with you guys. They can be quite intimate. So if you are sharing that experience and really ensuring that they know that you know them through those other communications outside of your clinic, it's just so powerful. And it is very hard to compete with those other businesses who are using generic messaging.
Looking for software that truly understands your salon or clinic? Shortcuts is more than just a booking and point of sale system. It is a smart, intuitive technology designed to elevate every client touchpoint. From personalised marketing to seamless scheduling and powerful business insights, Shortcuts helps you create experiences that keeps clients coming back. Trusted by leading businesses across Australia, it's time to work smarter, not harder. Discover what's possible with Shortcuts. Visit www.shortcutssoftware.com today. I do feel when you have software that's not congruent, that's not, you said, oh, you can use it on the iPad, you can use it on your, your desktop. It's integrated into so many different areas. When you kind of use a patchwork system, so you've got this type of software and that type of software, what do you think it subconsciously does to your client? What does it communicate when you've got that disjointed sort of comms feeling?
Yeah, it's just disorganization, isn't it? It just feels like, hang on, I've just got to go over there to get that and here to go this. And what we talked about before, creating that friction point. The clients can see something doesn't look quite right, can't really see what's going on, but something's not right. So it's so important to smooth out your systems and just keep everything very streamlined. Then you're not like a duck underwater, because yeah, your clients are going to feel it, and then they're going to lose trust, and it's going to perpetuate from there. So, yeah, definitely having organized systems. Again, link it back to the team knowing what you know. Now, I'm not talking about every setup in your system, but how you're using the system to be super organized as an owner. The team need to be onboarded with that same process.
Oh, there's nothing. I have walked into clinics and even a hairdresser or even a doctor's clinic, any kind of service-based setup, and you walk in and there's nothing worse than, oh, my this is not working, or I don't know where that is, or I don't
I
know where your
know.
file is, and then the person's flustered out the front, and then your therapist is flustered, and then you might be the absolute best skin therapist or the best cosmetic nurse. But if you've got these things, this chaos going on in the background, your
And it
client,
doesn't, yes, it doesn't have to be that way. That's the crazy thing, right? It does not
right?
have to be that way. Yeah, if you invest in the right tech that's right for you and your business, you'll notice all of that melts away. And the hum
Yeah.
can come, which builds the trust. It frees you up to create that beautiful, luxurious experience that we talked about. It's all interlinked for sure.
But a lot of clinics and they don't realize that they are in that chaos. Like I do a lot of clinical work,
Yes.
and you probably do, but
Mm.
like, through ABIC, I go in and visit my members, and I can see, and I do have a lot of experiences in clinics and salons, and I can see when you walk in and there's this just seamless elegance, right, from start to finish. And you can see where there's the duck underwater feeling. You
Yes.
actually feel it as a client, even
You
though
feel it.
you're
Yeah.
used to it in the clinic. You might go, well, this is just the way I run. But
Mm.
the clients understand it and feel it. It is an incredible dynamic that is kind of invisible. And
Yeah.
that's what I think software is. If it's done well but invisibly, I think
Yes.
that's the most beautiful thing. It sets
Absolutely.
the tone.
Yeah. I think something else we could touch on there with, something that I get to experience a lot working
Mm,
at Shortcuts, and it's actually one of my favorite parts of my job, which is going to sound nuts, is working closely with clients to understand their systems and why they are doing something. Because often we just start. We set up a business, or we take over a business, and we just run with it the way it always was. So we'll often have clients come to us and say, "Oh, I've got this thing I need, and it needs to do this." And at at Shortcuts, we always take a step back and say, like, that sounds amazing, but why do you need to do that? Like, what is the
Mm.
outcome you're hoping to achieve? Because maybe we could look at that and there could be a better way. And they really do, they're taken back by it, because I think a lot of people don't bother to stop and ask them this, and they're like, don't know why I do it. We've just always done it. That's why it's my favorite, because it's this like aha moment of, gosh, I was about to like waste money onboarding my team to do this thing that I thought we should keep doing, but it's not working anymore. When really the outcome is just to turn on that setting, and it's going to give us something different, but that's actually what we need to achieve our goals. So it's really important as a business owner, no matter what industry you're in, to take a step back and go like, why are we doing this process the way that we've done it? And is there something better? And you can talk to your tech provider or your software provider to ask those questions, like, why I'm doing this. I don't really know that it's what I should be doing. Have you got a better way? Because we've got the experience and we're here to help.
And I love the fact that, I mean, you've got thousands upon thousands of clients. So,
Mm.
it's the vast knowledge and experience of diversity that you've got
Yeah.
behind you. Let's shift gears. And this, Chloe, is probably also for you as well. What does like
Yes.
a digital tone of voice, like we hear this all the time,
Mm.
play in your brand experience? Like, how can clinics and spas really align with it throughout with that intention?
Yeah, well, look, we keep saying consistency. I'm going to say it again, but it really is important as a brand and a business to decide what your tone of voice is, decide how you want to speak to your clients. And you could even do a little bit of an exercise where you write that down and you say, look, what at my core, who are we? Who are we talking to? And what is our message to our clients at every single level of communication that we have with them? And if you, I guess, create that foundational message, it's easy for you to use that to apply to every little thing that you're using digitally. So you can ensure that that experience is cohesive between being in person and receiving a text message or an email. It also might be old school phone calls, making sure that, those conversations are consistent as well when somebody calls up. It might be the first touch point that a potential new client has with your business as well. So that could be the website, social media. So really, you just need to understand what your foundations are when it comes to obviously aesthetically with your brand, but also your message. So those pieces of communication that don't have the luxury of having a beautiful logo, like a text or a phone call, actually match all of that, and someone feels at home and like they're with the right business for the right solution.
How many brands do you think, or really clinic salons and spas, actually sit down and go, right, this is my tone of voice, this is how I speak to a client, this is what our philosophy is, this is our point of view?
In my experience, I know that our industry, we're incredibly visual people, right? And I feel like we are fantastic at looking at how good our social media looks like, our websites, how beautiful our clinic looks like, the uniforms that our teams wear. But maybe we're not always thinking about the other parts of our brands that aren't so obvious, which really is the tone of voice. So I would, encourage any clinic or a business owner who's listening to, write these things down, decide who you would like to speak to and how you would like to speak to them, and have a think about what channels that you're using at the moment and if that aligns. And if it doesn't, it's a great excuse to start changing it.
Well, big brands, like iconic brands, really, like Apple, Aesop, even Amazon, they've got lots in common, right? So
Yes.
what do you think they have in common that every clinic, salon, and spa should incorporate? What should we learn from big brands like that?
Well, I think what we can learn from big brands is the connection that they have with their customers. So, Apple, Aesop, Amazon, I feel like Apple and Aesop are a really good example if you think about the person, one of their customers, who will, regardless of what you tell them, they are the person lining up for that next iPhone, right? Doesn't matter how many Android users they have telling them that they've got missing out on all these features. The world is so much better being an Android user. Apple customers are devoted and they're bought into an ecosystem, right? And that emotional connection that they have with that brand is priceless. You can't beat that, right? This is why, regardless of how good the Google Pixel is, people are still going to buy an iPhone. There is an emotional connection with that brand. And I see that a lot with Aesop as well. It's a beautiful thing that people love to have out on their kitchen counter. If they've run out, they're going to fill it back up with Nivea hand soap, right? So it's all about, it reflects them as a person, but it also is an emotional connection that they have with it. And I feel that what clinics or any business can learn from that is just how important any connection or any touch point is with your clients. If you can continue to build on an emotional connection, your clients will fight for you. It doesn't matter if the clinic down the road that's closer to their new house is a special. They know you and you know them, and they have an emotional connection for you, and they're going to be the one that recommends you to all of their friends when they compliment how beautiful their skin looks. So it's just about building on that. And you might not be an Apple, Aesop, or an Amazon, but if you can build that same emotional connection, you're just as, you're taking up just as much room in their hearts, and they're going to be your customer for life. So yeah, just invest in it, and you'll get that out of your clients.
I've just learnt so much, and you did that so eloquently, Chloe. I love everything that
She is
you
the
just
queen.
said.
She
Yeah.
knows
Oh,
the
wow.
stuff.
Stop.
Stop.
I'm going to go red.
You know what? We also have to laugh that all of those brands start with an A. Was there something in
Yes.
that?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, you're
that's
right.
the other thing.
Now that I'm thinking about it, people say run your clinic, your salon, your spa like a business. I hear that all the time. Run it like a business, run it like a business. Really, though, we should be running it like a brand. Everything that you've just explained, why do you think we should be running our business like a brand or our clinics like a brand rather than a business?
Running it like a brand, it stays in someone's memory and they feel it, as opposed to a business, which, what does that mean? Why are they different to any other business out there? If they're a brand, they're going to feel they're using their senses to experience that visit or that interaction over just seeing it. And there's no emotional feeling there.
Yeah, 100% right, Emma. And this is what we were talking about yesterday, right? And it's really important to remember that brand isn't just a logo. A lot of people, when I talk to about their brand, they're like, "Oh, do I need a new logo, or do I need to change the colors on my head of my letters?" No, your brand is everything about you. Your brand encompasses so much more than just what you look like. It encompasses your tone of voice. It encompasses how people feel when they're receiving a service from you. It encompasses the emails that you send out, your social media. It's absolutely every single side of your business creates your brand. And I feel like a lot of people in our industry, they've had a personal brand, and that's what's led them to start a business. Potentially they worked in another clinic and they started to build a bit of a personal brand because they were extremely talented at what they do. And then they suddenly open a business and the brand changes, but it really is an extension of that personal brand. And you have to remember that every person you are welcoming into your clinic from a staff point of view is going to contribute to that as well. So it really is so much bigger than a logo. And, I feel like we need to make sure that consistency is created throughout every single touch point. And sometimes there might be parts of your brand that you need to update, sometimes not. So, all those amazing things that your technology is doing in the background to put your team in the best position possible to offer a fantastic service will improve your brand. It's not just about your logo.
So you're really talking about brand as a person. When you say it that way, why wouldn't people then have a connection with a person? They wouldn't have a connection with a business.
That's right. Exactly. So, and it's so emotional, like go back to Apple, obviously it's a bit generic, but people had that emotional connection with Steve Jobs, and now they have that emotional connection with Tim Cook. So, and you don't have to have a face of your brand, but if your brand has so much personality and shows your clients that you know who they are and what they need, that emotional connection will be created, and it's so powerful. And I know as a marketer that it's very hard to compete with. So if you can get that going, it's absolutely priceless.
I just, everything you guys have just said now just has blown me away. I love it. It's such an in-depth conversation, and we're not just talking about software, but how software complements the brand and really is part of the ecosystem of that brand is really underestimated. So how should a clinic owner or salon spa owner reimagine, I suppose, their booking software as a marketing asset, right? Not just as an admin tool, as we were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So many people just tick that box. Their business coach might work with them and say, you need to have online booking. You're not using it. So they get it online and then they tick, I've done that. That's not what your business coach or support is telling you. They want you to use your online booking and really like deep dive into it to make it into a marketing tool. And that could be done in a few different ways, right? So it's not just turning it on. You need to make sure, and if this is one thing that I could give you to take away today, please go and do it. Make sure that your online booking represents what you want, who, I say who because we've just said it's a person, but what you want your brand to be. It needs to have your colors, sure, your logo, a beautiful feature image, but it needs to have your tone of voice. So it needs to have the words on there. You should be connected to Google Reserve. It's a marketing tool. It's not enough to expect that the client's going to find your website to click book online or your socials to click book online. If they're looking for a treatment in my area, we want you to get that. Like we want you to succeed and to get that booking. So you need to be in Google Reserve. You need it to have book online in Google, not just
No,
from,
not
yeah, that
so
we
many
need them to
people don't
choose
use
you
that.
first. That's right. So yeah, it is so much more powerful. Once they're finally on your online booking link and they're going through that booking journey, it doesn't stop. So we need them to convert to an actual booking. It's great that they're found there, but that's just a click. We need that conversion rate, right? So that's tapping into each stage of the online booking experience and thinking like a marketing person. How can I get them? What words are going to be useful to get them to choose this service? And using the upsell feature of your online booking feature to add on that booster that we talked about before or that extra service that complements that experience beautifully. Yeah, and just focus on every single step within the online booking journey to make sure that it closes as a conversion and they make their booking. It's much,
Mm.
much more than just online booking. It's a very powerful marketing tool.
Oh, I love talking about the features because they're pretty exciting. What's one
So many.
common feature that most clinics are underutilizing in their software?
Oh, I want to go back to something a little bit old school, a little bit legacy. Um, And that would be the power of the visit note and the client information. Okay. So it just sounds like something you're like, but that's been there forever. Who wouldn't be using it? So many people don't use it anymore. They've just gotten so busy in every day. They're like, oh, yeah, we don't need notes. That's fine. I'll remember next time she comes in. No, you're not. You didn't remember that her daughter just fell over and broke her leg. You've seen, like 100 people since then, more than that, probably 1,000 people since then. So get back to the basics as well. Like obviously we love all the futuristic stuff that we're doing, all the new enhancements and features and the introduction of new technology into our existing technology. That's all so important. But get back to the basics as well and get in there and put in visit notes and treatment notes so that you can offer that best experience when the client comes back. Since COVID, it feels like a lifetime ago now, doesn't it? But we realized we how much we lost during that time and we just craved personal touch and personalized service. So clinics, salons, spas have gone back and they're providing that as best that they can, but do it better. Like now everyone's doing that. You need to, if you want to be the best and have that incredible brand, you need to do better than what everybody else is doing. So get back to the basics and use those features in your software.
If you're a shortcuts user listening to this, what's a hack? What's one setting change that would
Okay.
instantly change the perception of your brand?
Oh, change the perception of your brand. That wasn't where I was going to go with that.
Oh, well, whatever.
No, I was like to make more money and have a better guest experience. I was going to say go and turn
Okay.
on the upsell feature. It's a game changer. I can't tell you. Okay. So first of all, please go and turn on your upsell feature in your online booking system because we get to see the stats. So we're super lucky because we get all the data, right? So it is a massive game changer. And like, at Shortcuts, I know we've integrated it seamlessly. So the client doesn't find it a friction point. They see it as like, oh, thank God that I got offered this because I had no idea that was even available and I need that. I'm aging. I need that anti-aging treatment. I
Yeah, yeah.
my facial. So please go and turn on your upsell feature. In Shortcuts, it's called related services and it's recommended services. But it's beautiful. It's going to change your world. So please turn that on. Something to change your brand. Go back and revisit your outgoing messages. So, like we said at the start, like we guide our clients through that. Go and revisit it. Make sure that it still matches your tone of voice. So, make sure that it's still sounding the way that you would speak to your clients when they're in front of you. Like that, just get straight into it. And don't put these things off, right? Like, please go and do them because they make a massive difference. Massive.
And I've got a little stat to throw in there as well, guys. So we did an annual report last year and we're going to do another one this year. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But for beauty businesses who use related services to upsell, actually have an increase in revenue compared to those who don't of about 33%. So that could be,
huge.
yeah. So on average, that in Australia is $17,000 more revenue on average per month. So you just think about what that could do for your business, right?
That's incredible. That's huge. That's
Yeah.
a whole profit margin added.
Yes.
For most clinics.
Yeah, for some people, yes. Like that, it can be such a game changer. So it's so important to go and do it. And a lot of people don't realize it's there because how often do you watch the socials of your software company? People think we're boring. We're super exciting. You've got to get on board and watch us. There's so many new things coming out. You've just got to follow along and watch. Open the emails.
All right, let's flash forward into the future as we wind up this incredible podcast. 5 years into the future, how do you think the most successful clinics will be using sort of software and tech a little bit differently to build trust and loyalty?
Do you want me to handle that one, Emma?
Yeah, you go. Great. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I feel like obviously everyone's talking about it. AI is going to be a huge part of how we personalize our experiences for our clients and even our staff and our teams. And I feel like though, where at the moment a lot of people are thinking about it in a really obvious way where it impacts your business operations, right? And that's going to happen whether we like it or not. But what I would love to see is some AI tooling in our digital landscape that actually helps our end client have a better experience and improve the emotional connection that someone will have with the brand of a clinic or a beauty salon. So potentially things that might enhance when the client books. Maybe the client is of a specific age and it's quite common for people of that age to be interested in these services. So maybe we recommend services before they've even jumped on the online booking page. Who knows? These are things that, we don't know if we're going to do yet, but I would love to see happen in our industry. And I feel like it's going to also mean that our emotional connection with our clients is going to be even more important than ever. I know you probably already noticed with a lot of technology that's been coming out now, things are becoming more generic because we can do things faster, which is incredible. And I think that's amazing. But I feel that personal touch is going to become more rare. So as these technologies roll out, let's look at how we can, improve our personal well-being and really be customer or client-centric about how we apply them.
I love that. So in depth. Did you have anything else to add, Emma, on that?
I was just going to add, Chloe's touched on it, just the guest journey. So for us, not sure, what everyone else is doing, but for us at Shortcuts, our biggest focus is always, of course, we care about our clients, but for them is their guest's journey. It has to be spectacular. And so that's our focus always is what does this mean for our client's guest journey? And I'm so excited about the future for this industry because all these new technologies coming out, it's not just AI, right? Like I know we've talked about it before, but like wearables, all those kinds of things. What can that do to help the industry be even better than it already is and help you build your brand and offer this extremely luxurious service that other people may not do or may not invest in? It's going to help you be very successful. It's a very exciting time.
It is exciting. Some might say it's also overwhelming. There's so much going on, right? But let's end on, I suppose, a more simple, holistic note. If a clinic, a salon or spa wanted to change just one thing tomorrow to elevate the client, I would say, experience or journey through the systems, what would you recommend they do? just simply?
Just one thing has to be making the client feel seen and loved and welcome by having notes at the palm of your hand. So get that iPad, have it on the phone, whatever you can do. Add beautiful notes about your clients so that you truly know them and they will come back every time to you.
Yeah, I guess just be consistent. Potentially think about, how you're talking to your client base and, how you can improve that and make sure it's more cohesive across all of your channels. And that, alongside with what Emma's recommended with notes, will create a really powerful brand that your clients and future clients will emotionally connect with.
Oh, look, today's been so valuable. I gained so much out of this, and I know everyone listening will as well. Mainly that we shouldn't run our businesses as businesses. We should run them as a brand, as a person. And everything then falls along that line. And knowing that software is a part of that personality and a part of that brand, the part of the communication system, the heart and the hub of the operations of the business. I think we underestimate that heartbeat of the business, which is software, and you do it so elegantly. And you're also so altruistic as well, being part of ABIC, and you always help the industry. You're always there to give back. And I just want to thank you so much for that as well.
Oh, thank you for your time.
Thank
It's
you.
our pleasure being here.
Thank you so much. Come back. Thank you for listening, everyone. You've reached the end of another episode of the ABIC podcast, your online support community for the aesthetic and beauty industry. Thank you for listening, and until next time, stay connected.